Test 1 2. Hey folks, how's it going? Hey Shane, good evening. Good evening, Shane. How's it going, dude? It's good to see you. Hope you've had a good week. It's been an interesting week for me, but I can't complain. It keeps life interesting. Let's make sure we have our audio on for the desktop. I'm trying on Friday streams to get going just before 9 o'clock, if not a bit earlier. Because if I don't, knowing me, I won't be live until after 9 o'clock. And 9 o'clock's already quite late as it is. The reason Friday streams have been 9 o'clock is because I used to DJ on Fridays. And most people that are interested in DJing don't tend to tune in until later in the evening. But I could start doing these streams earlier, but the time between 8 o'clock and 9, I just kind of chill. You get to Friday, you just want to chill anyway. And chilling's good for you, it's healthy. There's one thing I had to learn slowly, is that sort of to relax and to chill is just as important as getting stuff done. It's almost bedtime, it is. Imagine, so a few more years on me and I won't be up this late. Hello, how's it going? Latvian? I'm absolutely hopeless at saying names. How's it going? Hello, hello. Hope you're having a good evening, having a good Friday. Totally wasn't here in ages. Yeah, that's all good. It's been a little while, but that's fine. You do your thing. I'm happy to see people when they can make it, and any time. So, for as long, no matter how long you stay for, how often you come by, I appreciate everyone who stops by the stream, because it's just nice to see people. And if there's no one here, I'll be quite happy doing my thing, drinking my tea. Well, how's it going all? So my Friday's been interesting, my week's been interesting. But it's been positive. It's been positive. There's been nothing I can really go, this week has been bad. There's nothing about it that's gone, ugh, I'm glad it's over. It's like, oh wow, week's over already. Tell me why. Ain't nothing but a heartache. How's it going, Jeffrey? Good to see you, dude. Hope you've had a good week. About your interesting Friday. Interesting Friday. Doing good, glad to hear. Good to see so many people here. I wasn't expecting anyone to kind of just jump in. I thought, you know what, I'll go live early. And I might just sit here and see what happens before I actually turn the camera on. And you're all here beforehand, so welcome. Well done, everyone. Thank you. But yeah, Friday. I won't give too many specifics. But I'm sort of, well, I was half security for my old office building. It kind of goes hand in hand with being tech support, I suppose, in some ways. But yeah, half security for the old office building. And yeah, the alarm went off. I went, oh, I have to drive back to the old office building. We've been in the new office building for a couple of years now, at least. Man, I love when Twitch kicks me out of the stream for no reason. Oh, sorry to hear that. Twitch is like another one of those systems where it just does things without reason. And yeah, those kind of things keep me in a job, because being tech support, it's my job to try and decipher things that happen for no reason on computers. You need to fight intruders on your job. Never have had to do that, but very confusing. Very confusing today, because yeah, we haven't been in the old office for at least a couple of years, and it's kind of derelict. We moved out the old office. Still technically own the old office, but I appear to be the only person who security calls. Like, apparently no one else in the entire company even calls anyone. So yeah, I had to go and check it out. It's very interesting to see the old office after not being there for like over a year. Like the last time I went to visit, and longer than that since I actually worked in there. And yeah, it's all like, it's you know like these post-apocalyptic kind of scenes where sort of you see buildings like abandoned buildings with like sort of long grass and sort of withered-looking stuff. Seeing the old office like that was quite interesting. But I found out the office isn't going to last for another few days. It's just going to be gone. Oh, interesting. And yeah, the security alarm. Sort of people said, well, there's something gone wrong at the old office. We need you to check it out. And go. Apparently, yeah, they've cut all the amenities to the old office, so the alarm company wasn't informed. And they go, something's not right. I think someone might be breaking in. And go, no, we've just decided we don't want the office anymore and didn't bother to tell anyone. Also need to. Also, I sent collector's edition of my new Tony Hawk game. Ooh, I saw a post pop up there. Let's have a look. Oh, that's nice. That is cool. I like that a lot. Giving a skateboard with it, that's cool. So it makes sense in all the types of collector's editions for video games. Tony Hawk's should be coming with a skateboard. Even better if the skateboard had if it was Bluetooth and hooked up to your PS5, and you can kind of just balance on it and use it as a controller. Now that could be interesting. Has a game ever done that? I'm not sure there's any skate games. That exists for PS3. I thought it was a thing, yeah. It was wonky. Yeah, I love these like bespoke gaming controller devices. Like they only exist for that game. So you spend a lot of money on these things just to experience the game in some kind of physical way. Speaking of Tony Hawk, do you know the PS1 games well? Kind of. It's been a long time since I played them. It was mainly Tony Hawk 2 that I played. I played that to death. But Tony Hawk's 1, not too familiar. 3 and 4, less so again. So most of my time was on the second one. So yeah, I don't really know the other ones as much. Since I'm going insane, I only played them at friends, and in one of them there was this dark level with red glowing eyes somewhere a wall behind a fence. I can't find it. It's not in 1 and 2 since I played the remasters. Ooh. Is it one of these weird laws and stuff of the evil eyes? No, I don't recall that. Don't recall. Internet can't harm me, whichever it was either. Does the internet mention it? Is it just you, or other people know of this thing? It doesn't. Are you sure it was in the game and it wasn't just you seeing it? It's spooky. Yeah, you need to get hold of I'm pretty sure I play it at friends all the time. Yeah, I have to try and get a hold of an original copy, even if it's like a PlayStation rip to ROM for PlayStation, and play it on an emulator. Just see if you can find it. So there's bound to be ROMs out there. Tony Hawk Proving Ground always gave me a weird, creepy vibe, but that was PS2. Yeah, Proving Grounds was a bit of a... They changed direction slightly, didn't they, with Proving Grounds? But yeah, Tony Hawk's 1 to 4 was pretty much classic kind of Tony Hawk. Definitely PS1. Yeah, try and find the ROMs. There's bound to be the ROMs out there. I might try and find the ROMs myself. Yeah, and have a play through them. So I might have because I've got I don't think I've ever shown this on the stream. doesn't play them too well, but this will play PlayStation 1 games. It's basically a Game Boy type clone thing. Epic indeed. Yes, it's kind of like a Game Boy clone thing, but it runs a Linux system. You can plug an SD card into it. But it'll play quite a few PlayStation 1 games. But the only problem is it only really can play games that require just the D-pad and there's no sticks on this particular version. You can get versions with sticks. A bit more expensive. Definitely should have got one of those, but any of the old games before that, you can still play PlayStation 1 games on that. So I might try and get Tony Hawk's on this. Oh, I keep seeing those. I almost bought one, but skeptical. Yeah, some of them aren't as good, Shane. This one is an Ambernick. Now these ones, I'll show you why that's going to come up. Now these ones seem to be a better quality, the Ambernick. Not sponsored or anything. But you can get some cheaper ones, and it's more of a gamble as to whether they are good or not. But I've enjoyed playing. Yes, that's the one. There's other ones that look just like it. You go, oh, that's an Ambernick. You go, no, it's not. And I've also bought this, but this only plays up to Sega Mega Drive. A bit dusty. I mean, sure how long I've not played it. Sega Mega Drive, SNES. I think X32. But basically, the late 80s, early 90s consoles I can play on this, which is it's pretty cool in itself. But all the cartridge consoles. This will play cartridge consoles, not the N64, but basically anything like that. So all the Game Boys.
Epic.
Would love to, because the new Mario Kart looks epic, but the price is way too steep. Yeah.
Epic.
I'm thinking about getting a Switch 2. Not necessarily for myself, but Nix would love a Switch 2. But if they're not going to be any cheaper on launch than they would be later, I'm not desperate for one. And there's only a couple of games on release that would be unique to it. Like Mario Kart World looks a lot of fun, but it's basically Forza Horizon, but in Mario. Have you ever played Forza Horizon? I think it's a Xbox exclusive. But yeah, Forza Horizon, you don't get out of the car. You just attach to the car drives on. You drive to races, you drive to quest things, and you can meet up with friends. So it's basically Forza Horizon. FromSoft is going to be Nintendo exclusive. Really? I thought they made their money on PlayStation. I thought they saw they were kind of their main console. That's very odd. Yeah, super cheeky indeed. Yeah, it used to be PlayStation exclusive all platforms. Very odd. Interesting. They must have made some kind of deal. But yeah, the price for the Nintendo Switch 2 is it's basically the price of a regular console now. So you either go, well, do I buy an Xbox, a PlayStation, or a Switch? It's not like, well, the Switch is a bit cheaper. But then the Switch 2 does boast 4K resolution when hooked up to a TV. But it's still even at 1080p in handheld mode. In handheld mode is incredible. Yeah, to get that kind of quality. So I can understand it's got more power, and the games are going to look better. So the cost kind of gets justified, but you can't just go, yes, I'm going to drop sort of £400 on this console when there's a lot of things that £400 is quite useful for these days. Oh, I love that meme, Shane. Yeah, there's got to be some kind of deal going on with that. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. That it's not gonna get any more expensive. So it's only gonna get cheaper if it will get cheaper. Knowing Nintendo, things won't get cheaper. So you just save up the money until you can afford it. And as long as you don't have FOMO from seeing people play the launch exclusives, it's no big deal. I'm not going to miss not playing Mario Kart World. I'd like to. I'd like to play it. But I'm in no desperate need. I have a gaming PC, a PlayStation, an Xbox, and a Switch One. As plus these emulator consoles, I have plenty of video gaming options. And I don't get to play them very often anyway, so it's no big deal for me. No big deal. Not going to cry over it. I get it. Definitely not day one. Same week as my double concert mini vacation. Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of my money and a lot of Phoenix's money will be going to Downloads Festival. Yeah, downloads the same week. I'd rather spend a couple of £100 of having a really good experience at download than putting it half towards a game console. I can go, well, we're going to have like the best food, or we're going to splash out and buy an alcoholic drink. Because those things aren't cheap either. But yeah, we can do that. And go, well, that money, €19 beers. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, it's about 10. I want to say it's probably about the cheapest alcohol is probably about 8 to 10 pounds probably these days for something like what I didn't get, so like a small glass of wine, which they give you in a bottle, a tiny bottle of wine, and that was about £12 last year. Yeah, I exaggerate, but Kiss I paid €11 for beer. Ooh. Yeah, it's not cheap. Like, the thing is, you can't get drunk at a festival, and that's probably the reasons behind it. You go, well, I'd rather people don't get drunk, and just charge them the earth for some generic beer stuff. Got drunk at Iron Maiden though. That's impressive. You win the lottery, go out and have a few beers. You know, we have the option then, at least, to spend that money on enjoying ourselves, having a good experience, rather than on a game console that may get played for a couple of hours every so often. Screamed at people and destroyed the dividers at the merch queue. So, you're a happy drunk. Yes, cool, glad to know. I can just imagine that. I'm going to switch over to the main screen and we'll keep chatting. Yeah, I think there's things I need to spend money on that isn't a games console, so we'll do that eventually. We'll see what the market's like. Speaking of market, this is a market. Now I'm thinking for this Revolt Overthrow game, have a small kind of intro to introduce the game. And I have a lot of these market stall assets as part of the same bundle that all the other castle bits came with. So I'm thinking just setting up a marketplace. Maybe a couple of buildings either side to suggest that it's in a town. And just have some characters walking through discussing their plans to take on the lords and stuff and take a trebuchet and then kind of go into the game. But we have a few derelict destroyed buildings, so we can't even afford to repair the buildings. I feel this house is probably... If someone lives here, they gotta have a lot of money in this world. This is probably more realistic. I can probably have a few of these. Then you really got you got one window, two windows downstairs, two windows upstairs, and if they're doing a window tax, then that's quite an economical house to have. So we could place a few of these behind the market stalls. Maybe some trees. I don't know. Market could be in amongst trees. We just need to make sure that when you're at this colour level, you're not just seeing the horizon. There needs to be something in the way. But otherwise, I don't think there's much left to do in the main kind of game scenes now, because apart from there's improvements. There's improvements on I call them how it looks, but how it looks is just nice. It doesn't make the game function any better. So it all depends really. Is there anything I can do that makes the game functionally better within the mechanics I already have? Like, is there any tweaks? Like, I've got the medal system. Oh yeah, there's a little behind the scenes there. I've got the medal system. Maybe the determining the thresholds for the medals. My brother came up with a good idea for determining medal thresholds. Do it on a per score kind of basis. So if this is like 140 squares, work out a calculation for how long it should take to hit 100 squares, multiply to 140, give a rough score, and then do that for every level. But I need to work out an approximation of how long you can, what's kind of the quickest sort of time per square. Like lining up, hitting it, you can probably hit a square every 5 seconds maybe. So if you take a number of squares times 5 to give you the number of seconds, and then you can then have an average of, well, how long would it take a person to hit that many squares. There is a fluctuation in that as far as where the squares are. If they're like hard to get to, then that's going to take longer. But you can do an approximation of that at least. Tea's nearly cold. Need to drink it a bit faster. But we can come back to that. I got some standardised things in there. So apart from jazzing up the visuals and altering the audio, I think the game mechanics is okay. I think I'm okay with that. So same with level 2. I got the 2 examples here. I got the crates and I got the barrels. That represents the mechanic for unlocking projectiles. That's all fine. There might be something I need to do to tweak the power bar, because I'm feeling, especially on this level at the moment, there's a lot of work the player has to do within this last upper section of the power bar, and not really much down here. So duration of this level, the player only really needs from about a third of the way up the power bar to the rest of the bar. From 0 to a third of the way doesn't really do much in this level. So whether the trebuchet is too far back, or I need to reset these numbers here, so rather than this being a 0, the bottom starts part way and it has a different kind of rate against it. So I need to determine that there's a minimum starter. So the value is in fact a third of the way up already when it's down here. And just imagine the power slider starts further down, and then you're starting the player here, and it gives a bit more degree of accuracy. So that's one thing I feel about this. Like level 1, I feel I've calibrated this fine for level 1, but I think I'm going to have to make it a bit more dynamic per level, so it just feels a bit easier to work with, rather than sort of adjusting the power by pixel and go, well, I need it like 1 pixel less power, and that's going to be a pain for any player. So I think I need to adjust what's the minimum and maximum of that is. But that's going to be some like play testing on that. I can probably put the mechanic in. I could probably put something in to allow me to do that, and then work out the numbers later. In the meantime, though, I've got to get some music. So I realise it's just me rambling without much much kind of background. How about that? What's our volume on that? That looks about right. Let's go with that. I'm happy with that. You don't need a preview though. Thank you, YouTube. It's a bit nice and relaxing. A little bit of talking ASMR maybe. Yeah, let's have a quick look at the mechanic, because the intro that I was looking at, the market stalls, it's a nice thing. Doesn't affect the gameplay. Allows the player to understand it. Doesn't really affect what's going on though. So let's go to, this is the canvas we need to look at. So the canvas, and this is the power meter of the canvas. Now where's the actual code? The code is on the slider. There it is. So that's reticle target, reticle set position. So it's not actually, the code's not actually applied here, which could make things a bit easier in some ways. We do have minimum and maximum values on the slider though. So whether I set, because that's going to be reactive. Let's find the code. Let's find the code that it would be. It's the launch code, and it's is it rock launch? I've called it. Rock launch. Let's have a look at that code. Current rock, select rock. Maybe it's not there. Send rock. Okay, maybe I've got it under. So in the UI controls, that's just a menu. Keyboard controls maybe. So we'll look where keyboard controls go. So power key if is reset. So move up, move up. So angling up. Let's go to that. Angle direction. So that's looking at target, and target is a reticle, isn't it? Yeah, so it is. Have I got that the right way around? Lock launch angled up, vertical move up. Ah, here we go. Here's the numbers I didn't want to look at. So this kind of needs to be set per level. But these are public, so I can inject those. So by default it's 12 and -1. So let's have a double check where that's on the reticle code. That's fully open up. So reticle code is actually on the reticle, which is part of the castle. It's part of the castle. No, it's part of the camera pivoting system. It's a little bit backwards, I know, but there we go. Okay, yeah, there's numbers. Ah, so whatever those numbers are, I really should make the power slide the same numbers, because otherwise it's not going to reflect the true value. Let's have a look at the code. I might be able to fix something at the same time here, but we definitely know these numbers need to be altered, the 12 and the -1. So set slider, which is Y, and Y is based on that. So yeah, the slider needs to match these values. So I need to have a setting per level that sets these. Keep googling, just can't find it, going insane. Ooh. You would have thought this kind of thing would have a whole kind of online conspiracy about it. But yeah, if I find any ROMs of it, you can get a PSX emulator running. It was a dark level. It was inside. You found the eyes somewhere when you went down. So it depends if you can find the actual level. If there's any like sort of any plays of the levels and stuff, and you go, ah, that's the level. Watch full gameplay of 1 to 4. So have you not even found which level it was, let alone the eyes? None of it fit what I have in my head. Was it definitely Tony Hawk, so not like another type of skating game? Or like sports game of some sort, maybe a BMX game, or... Yeah, it's always worrying when you remember something so vividly, but can't find any evidence of it. And so I can understand feeling like you're going insane. Go, well, why is this memory now? Why is it so strong? Why can I not find anything that suggests that it did happen? And the thing is, sort of, if it was a different game that had the same sort of feel, maybe your memories have merged, and it made you think it was Tony Hawk's, because that's what you would associate with that gameplay feel. Tony Hawk was in it, that's for sure. Well, is there any games that Tony Hawk was in that wasn't a Tony Hawk's? I think he pretty much had a monopoly on him as a game character. That is odd. I remember looking for a a game I used to play like a long time ago. It was on Windows 3.1. So this is talking a long time ago. So Windows 3.1, you had to type in WIN into the computer to start Windows, because it ran on DOS. Windows wasn't the operating system. Windows was just a program. And once you loaded Windows up, there was a few games on there I had, but it took me ages trying to find what game it was I played. I typed into like AI chats, did search for like things, and thankfully the AI chat kept suggesting things, and I kept saying, well, it's kind of like that, but it had this, and eventually it found it, and I was like, oh, excellent. And there's a more modern version of it that uses the same principle, which was very very fun, and I've not played it since finding it. But that, yeah, I felt like I was going insane trying to find this. Does this even exist anywhere anymore? And the game was called Kai, so Kye. And I absolutely loved it. It was a small puzzle game, and you can play it on the webpage now, or you can download it and play it yourself. But it took me ages. I think, well, I'm sure it had this and it had that, and I was trying to describe it, and I just couldn't find it anywhere. But yeah, games like Kai kind of made me want to get into game development, because you could make your own levels for it. A game as old as that, you could actually make your levels and play them, which I did. And the cool thing about the levels in Kai, they were just text documents, just TXTs. So you just made the levels using symbols on your keyboard and saved it as a TXT document, and then the game loaded it up and changed it all into fancy graphics. Very cool. But very accessible as well. I spent ages making levels and playtesting them and really enjoying it. And there is a website out there where people can actually upload the levels they've made for the community to then play, which I think is pretty cool. Those kind of things still exist. Right. I think I'm going to need to make a storage of the min and max of these values, so I can load them separately per level. Be right back, dog walk, okie dokie. See you shortly. Go and get some fresh air, unwind your brain from all the stress of trying to find the game. I've rhymed. So we need to probably make a scriptable object. I'd say we can store those into it. And then we can just load that into here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make a scriptable. Let's create a C# script, and we'll call this power slider values. Cool. Power slider values. Let's open that in Visual Studios. Don't think I'm going to need those. Let's remove that. Let's take out these at the top here. Change that mono behavior to a scriptable object, and we'll make this create asset menu. So it makes it now an object. So we want let's save that. We want to do is grab these. So Y movement. So is there anything else we need to worry about here? So we could put the Y in there as well. Because if it's going to be per level, could even do the... Could we put we could put the slider in? Put the slider in there. Probably put all these values into it, I suppose, and just pull that into here. At the moment, the reticle is attached to the slider, and I feel that's a little bit spaghetti-like. Now, can I put... Just thinking I can detach it from this process here. And we can just put all of these values into here. And instead of having those values, we can have a public space now would be good. Power slider values, power, and then rather than the Y, we can go power.y and power.movement. Tell you what, we can actually just make our life easy and tell us where everything is. We can now comment those, and it's going to give some red squiggly lines everywhere we need to I love Visual Studio's predictive stuff. Oh, don't want to tab out that one. So that's replaced all that. So some of these functions I can actually drop into the scriptable object. Because if they're only using values from the scriptable object, then it won't need to pull them out to do anything with it. Like this one here, set slider. That could be a function in the scriptable object. because it's just signing values inside itself. But because this script is attached to the reticle, then it has to kind of refer to certain things. So I could set that, and then I could just go set slider. So this would work as it is, because all I've done is just replace these values with an object instead of individual values. It looks so much cleaner doing that. But equally, I could take just this game object position y and pass it into a function, because then that would then use the movement in the y from the scriptable object, do these things internally, and then pass back out for a function and kind of drop it there. So all move up will be doing is setting what game object is, passing in its current position as to y. And everything else will just be done within itself. Same with let's remove that there. That'd be this exactly the same function here, but it's looking at minimum set position y. Is that basically what that's doing above? I was taking the slider value. Okay, so it's taking it from the slider and dropping it in there. Do I even need to use that anymore? Because that was when the UI allowed you to update it from the slider, but I don't think I'm doing that anymore. I don't think I'm actually letting the play do that. So let's just have a quick so if that's not being used, I could remove that anyway. I think I had that originally on the slider. Oh no, it is there still. On value changed, set to reticle. Position. Now it depends when this runs. On value changed, so at the moment I do still need that, but I don't want to use that. But let's make a note on that. Go to delete, because I don't want it and I just need to make sure I can remove it. Set slider. So I think the slider's just there as a visual now. It's not actually for the player to handle. So there's two values that go up. So you've got move up, move down. Well, move down is not even being used anymore. Hey kids, how's it going? Peak. Peak indeed. It's good to see you. Hope you're having a good Friday. So move down. Move down's not actually used. So I could get rid of that. Because that's when I was manually moving the slider up and down. But it goes down automatically now. So that function doesn't get used because set to bottom. This function resets it to the bottom. It never gets moved down by increments anymore. It just either moves up and then drops. That's it. Set position. Now I could, if I just comment out the code in that, so this function still exists. I'll save that for now, and what I do need to do, if we find the, what do they call it now? It was slider, wasn't it? Slider. Or power slider, wasn't it? Power slider values. Cool. Let's go create power slider values, and let's call this power slider values level 1, and we'll drag that into scriptable objects so we keep this nice and separate. And we go to the reticle, which is there. Drag that in. We now have some values. And that's got the defaults, which we need to put the power slider into. Ooh. Why can't you drop that into the scriptable object? Is it because it's a UI thing that won't be there? Probably, yeah. That's going to make things interesting. So we'll do it slightly differently. We'll need to put some script on the power slider. Need to put a script on this, which will then update itself. Because we can't have the slider being updated this way. So the code here that uses the slider, which was only there and here, yeah, so it's only there and here. So this set slider I can actually have as a function on the slider side. So all that's doing is updating its own value to whatever y is, and y is in here. So let's make another script. I'll put it in here and I'll move it over, make life easy. So this will be power slider. Now I can't, what you can't see on the stream is every time I do a little thing that it recompiles it. And I can turn it off, I've found. But I fear in doing so I will forget to reactivate it and nothing will get compiled and I go, why is it not got the latest updates? Now power slider needs to have a power slider value in it. I'll keep the start and the update. And we need a public power slider values. And just call it like that. So on update, we'll save that. On update, we basically want to do this. In effect. And we want the M slider from here. So we can drag itself into itself, that's fine. We'll just call this power just to keep things consistent. And we need the UI. Don't need it in there. Should go to Comic Con. Oh, I love Comic Con. I've been to Comic Con. Been to a couple of Comic Cons actually. The MCN one, MCM Comic Cons in the UK. Awesome stuff there. There's one that happens in London now, like the main London MCM Comic Con. That's merged with EGX, so it's a joint convention. So EGX is it Electronic Game Expo. So I would like to go to that one. So hear me out. You get a ticket to Prague for the next 2 weeks just to see me, and I'll give you $5. Oh, that sounds like such a deal. Wouldn't mind seeing Prague at some point. So that is a very tempting offer. You can also, can you please send me the game link? Oh yes, certainly. Yeah, this is there's a link on my Discord for it, but once I've done all the changes here, I'll put a fresh link up for you to download. So I'm going to give the latest updates after the stream, so I'll put that on my Discord for that. I want to make sure everyone has the latest things going on. Actually, that just needs to be that, and that just needs to be power.y. Y? Yeah, power.y. So every frame, it will take the slider and then look at the power values and just set it to whatever y is. Maybe a little bit overkill, but it needs to do that, and it gives me more options, I suppose, for doing things with the power slider. So that does mean that this is not going to be happy though. But I can have, I don't need to have set slider. Where's my two instances of set slider? Both in reticle. Oh, because it's there as well. Ah. So I don't need to set it, do I? Because that would change that. Y will get updated. Don't actually need. Don't need these functions anymore. Because it will automatically update itself when every frame. Cool. So that basically chops out this huge chunk of code just by writing this. So it makes sense in the long run to do that. This was never needed anyway. that I'm keeping for a moment, and then I'll get rid of that as well. Okay, let's save that. So that's that. Come back to Unity. And we'll go to our power slider, and we'll drag on that code. And that needs itself in there. And the power slider values for level 1. So we'll have to drag in a level 2 for level 2, level 3 for level 3. And that's going to be anything. I suppose if I default it to level 1, and I can adjust it. Okay, let's go back to reticle. So that's got power slider values, nothing else. Cool. And that only has that. Now, have I done enough to make it work? Because those values have been stored in there now. That slider will move because of that. That I will comment out because it'll probably scream at me and say I've got a start function with no thing in it. Okay, no. Some of this I could outsource to the power slider values, but I don't want to do too much change because I know it's going to be hard to debug what I've done. Cool, I'm happy with that. Let's minimize that. Let's try playing the game and see what I've broken. Let's turn that music down. That's one thing I do definitely need to do. Alright, it's definitely not working. Value cannot be null. What have we broken them? We broke a thing. Right, so let's go to the keyboard. Keyboard controls. What is keyboard controls doing? So it's using reticle up. Joys of game dev, yeah. All the joys. So rock launch. What have I broken? Have I broken anything in rock launch? So rock launch goes angle direction. So angle direction grabs the target, makes it look at the target. I understand everything said in this stream, not really. The main thing is that if you don't understand the detail, if it kind of gives you a, you can kind of walk in the same direction of it. Go, well, I didn't understand all the words, but I knew the basic context of it. And then you're doing okay. You just learn the context and then learn the meanings. Right, I don't think this has been broken by what I've done. Because all this is doing, this angle direction, so this takes the rock. It then takes the invisible target, you can't see this target, but it takes a little target site, finds out where the target site is, saves its location, then tells the rock to look at it. So just basically angles the rock at the target, and when you fire it, it just throws the rock at the target. So in simple terms, if this was basketball, that would be finding out where the basket is, that would be shooting at the basket. So that, I feel, isn't anything wrong there. So that's what we're doing here. The laptop went to sleep. I feel I've probably not put a value in somewhere. Before we start going through the code. So these have values, that's fine. Go to power slider. These have values, that's fine. Let's go to reticle. That has a value, that's fine. Where are the nulls coming to it? So the only thing I've changed will be the reticle target, the power slider, and power slider values, all of which have values right now. Let's uncomment this. Just make things a little bit harder. No, I can't really uncomment that, that's the only problem. No, we need to keep that commented up because that would not work. Tell you what, let's comment out that. So that's not, I can see it doing its thing, I don't need to worry about that, which would mean it's only move it up that would become an issue. So let's save that. Instantly, value cannot be null. Now it won't tell me where, because it says Unity self, which I think might be an issue generally speaking. Timer started. I don't really need to, well, that's useful to know. That's useful to know. What I might have to do is close everything and reopen it, because I've found that when I get this red text here saying that argument null exception, it's not anything in my code, it's Unity itself. So let's switch over to my main camera, full camera, and I'm going to close Unity. I'm going to reopen it. Let's take a couple of minutes. And we'll see if that fixes it. Good old turn it off and back on again. Seriously underrated. Okay, back to the main screen. Let's see if we run it again. Yeah, didn't change anything in the code. Set the music off. Maybe I will have to crochet a panda for you to add to your collection. Oh, that would be awesome, Shane. You don't have to, but if you did, I shall display it proudly. I have many pandas. Many pandas. You can probably see most of them. There is one panda that's not in view, because I think it's down there somewhere. But yeah, I've got three pandas behind me. The fourth panda, the biggest of the pandas, I think is sat on the floor down here somewhere. Yeah, they all have different different purposes, different reasons that I have the panda. Well, gotta got you, catch you by. Okie dokie. Thank you for dropping by, kids. We'll post a copy of the game in the Discord, so I'll probably at everyone. So yeah, definitely won't miss it then. But thank you for stopping by. I'll see you next time. But yeah, each of those pandas has a different reason for me having the panda. Yeah, different reasons for having the panda. The first panda, the very first panda I had out of all of them is up there. And it's the panda right at the top. I'm sure we can, if I can see it. Yeah. The medium-sized panda at the top there is the first one I had. And then it was the next panda down, and then finally the tiny panda. And the large panda, I'm not sure where the large panda came in. I think the tiny panda is definitely the last one of the four. But yeah, it went the one at the top, then the bigger one, then the small one, out of those three. I had a Build-A-Bear panda, not sure where it's gone. Or Mom's bear not chucked that one out as well. Yeah, I would really love to go to Build-A-Bear and have something. I've only been to Build-A-Bear once, probably. Yeah, well, yeah, I've only been to Build-A-Bear once where a bear was acquired. And that was, I went with one of my exes. And we took her little sister. And we took her little sister for her birthday to get a Build-A-Bear. And yeah, that's the only time I've experienced Build-A-Bear. I've never had one myself. Yeah, that was my only Build-A-Bear. Yeah, they're not cheap. And I was like, oh wow, I love that. And go, oh, how much? And they charge you a fortune for a little bit of fabric in the shape of a bit of clothing. Because my textile skills aren't great. They're okay, but they're not great. But I'd rather make my own clothing for a bear. I wish I could have gone that emo axolotl though. Yeah, so many people on Facebook, on the Build-A-Bear Facebook, are saying, get more of those axolotls. I will pay money. Like, I think it was like a small run as a kind of a joke for April Fools. But they did sell them. They did sell them, but not many of them. I think they must have produced like a handful to sell as a joke, and people go, no, 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 make it a thing. We will. There is a whole generation of people that will have this axolotl. Make more of them now. So there's those kind of instances where businesses can stand to make a bit of money, rather than just going, oh, it was a limited run, and go, well, but why? Like, if there's a resale market, you're not getting the money. People will be selling those axolotls for more on eBay, but Build-A-Bear won't get that money. If they make more, Build-A-Bear gets the money. It's a very odd business sense. I'm not in business myself, but I've done some basic marketing, and I can't get my head around why they wouldn't make more of them. 35, and that was completely worth it in my opinion. Yeah, to be honest, there are some plushies that you don't build or customize or very special, and they're still 35. So okay, we've definitely broken, but it's not erroring. That is the main thing. Okay. Let's uncomment this, because that is the resetting. And yeah, cool. Save that. Go back. No, I would seriously consider one myself. But my people that are slightly younger than me, like sort of in their mid to late 30s, would happily get themselves an emo axolotl. Like, so the emo phase was slightly after me. Like, I kind of just missed the emo phase. I can appreciate the emo phase, but I was just, I just kind of missed it. I was outside of the trendy range as it hit, so I didn't fully get emo when I grew up, because it was the people in the years just under me. Or I say just under me, a few years under me, really hit the emo. So I can appreciate. I have a lot of people I know that would go for that. Okay, so we're still not getting any let's go to canvas, parameter, slider. So that's in there, there's values. Let's go to camera pivot, go to reticle. We have that in there. So move up is run when this is held. So reticle move up. I'll keep doing that, keep doing that. Nothing's changed otherwise. Still feel that's the wrong way around though. So I need to move the reticle up, then let's have a look at the. Is it the rock? Is it under the rock? Where's the rock? Target is reticle target. So it's looking at the target before it moves. So I feel these two bits of code are the wrong way around. Because this bit of code here, you can't see it, it's not actually Visual Studio, OBS. So anything I found with OBS, it just, every time I open up Visual Studios, it doesn't look for the window with exactly the same name that it's always had, because that window doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what you want me to show. Go, well, the window with the same name of the same program. OBS, just show me the thing. I have to always go into OBS, go to the source, and then change the selection from the grayed out Visual Studio to the highlighted Visual Studio of the same name and go, this window. And I have to do that every single game dev stream because it apparently is a different source. Yeah, you can see the screen now. This code here, rl.angleUp, looks at the reticle, makes the rock look at the reticle. Reticle.moveUp moves the reticle. So I had that the wrong way around all this time. I was making the rock look at the reticle and then moving the reticle anyway, so accuracy would have been off. But now it moves it and then looks at it. Not going to make much difference to our situation because still not got something happening here. I've had to do that a few times, confused me too, yeah. There's got to be some kind of ID it latches onto the window and it's different every time it loads. There's got to be something. Because what was it? it's just my project dash Microsoft Visual Studio, and that's the name it's always been. But I've got it selected like window of the same name, and yeah, OBS still doesn't get it. I could put, let's put a debug.log here. Debug.log. And debug.log is just that window where all the error messages pop up. Debug.log just adds your own personal message into it. So go moving on up. Save that. So every time this is ran, it will then post moving on up. Which, if you're a fan of 90s music, you will get a reference on there. Okay, we look at the console. So here's the console here. So we should see moving on up in there. Okay, so that is doing everything. Let's have a look at the reticle target. The position is not doing much there, it's just... So why staying the same? Let's come out of that then. So it's saving Y as the current position Y plus power movement. Movement is 0. Ah. Was it always 0? I feel it wasn't. Ah, I know what I've done. I probably had a value in there and I've lost it since I moved it away from the yeah, I know what I might have done here. Okay. You need to know what it was then. What was the value? So that would have been on the reticle. The script on the reticle. And I've saved it several times since. I make a guess and I might have to look back through my old videos to see what it actually was. We set it as 1 for now. So we go to power slide values. So go save. So it's not moving because it's not adding anything to it. Hey, that's a bit too high. So 1 is definitely too fast. So it wasn't 1. 0.5. It might be 0.5. That feels a bit more like it was. Might even go a little bit slower. We'd probably go like a 0.4 maybe. So it doesn't matter what it was, because like I can actually adjust it to make it a bit more comfortable. Because I feel that's still a bit too quick. It's workable, but you have to be very light on the space bar. Make it 0.4. So it's a good thing with doing it this way. You have all these numbers, and all you do is change these numbers, even while you're playing the game, to change how it feels. To go, okay, I feel it's probably a 0.4, that's going to be a better value. And you can keep testing it and changing numbers. Without going into the code, you just change it up here instead. It makes that feels more like it was, I think. It slows the pace of the game down a little. I feel I'm quite happy with that. I will go back through my old videos and see what I did have the value set as. But it does mean if I get any feedback from you guys playing it and go, well, I feel this slider goes up too fast or too slow, I can adjust it. Or I give the player the option. I can say, well, what do you want it faster or slower? And then have a little slider in the menu that says how fast do you want it to go. What kind of sensitivity do you want to the power slider? And just give the choice over to the player and just set it to what I feel would be best, and then allow the player to add or minus a bit of power, a bit of pace to their power slider. That could be a nice thing, wouldn't it? Because some people might go, oh, it's a bit slow, and others go, oh, that's a bit too quick. And especially if they're struggling, they might want it a bit slower, and then to get the faster times, they then put the pace up and just learn a bit more accuracy with it. But ultimately, it's working now. I do love the fact I've got the hint button there now. Stops me from going insane. I'm sure it'll stop people who plays it going insane. And I don't want to add any penalties for it. It's supposed to be a relaxing experience. So if you need to hint, you need to hint. I'm not going to take medals away from you. So that gold for 2 minutes. Well, I've set gold for 2 minutes 30, and I feel that might be a bit too easy because I've done it in 2 minutes 5. So I need to really think about what's the fastest I could do this, and then give a little bit more leeway and say, well, that is your gold standard. But I'm quite happy with that. So I can now I know it's working. I can now remove sections that I've commented out and turned green because I know these aren't being used. And I can remove that as well because we don't want it to keep saying moving on up. What are we looking at for time? Oh, it's 2222. All the twos. 22 minutes past 10 p.m. So I'm happy with that. So that, look how small this bit of code has got now. I know one function's gone completely because I didn't use it anyway. But once I've got rid of this is going to literally be 2 functions. Move the reticle up, reset the reticle. That's it. And all I've done is take the variables out and have the slider automatically update itself. So what I could do to minimize this even more is work out these values. So what this is doing here is grabbing this value here. Everything else is within the game object stuff. So ultimately I need to grab that y, and then everything else is going to be within here. So I could grab this and go make a new function, go public float and let's call this move, go power up, put that in there. Now rather than the word power, I can just remove the word power from all of this, because all these values are otherwise available within this script. Apart from this one, so that needs to have a let's go float ry, and I'll just change this to ry, and we want to return return y. So y is that, if it's that, return y. So nice and simple. So we've got power ups, and go back to reticle, and rather than that there, we can go power up, and inside power up as a function we can put that, and we just go power dot power up. It means we don't need any of that. It becomes one line of code there now. Now I feel we might be able to do something even fancier, because that code there is pretty much this code here. So let's go in power.y. So we could go power.y, rather than returning y, we can then say that's not actually a return, that just changes what y is, and just make that a void, not return the y, which means when we go back to here, we just call that and just go power dot y. It does split it into two lines of code, but you will notice now that both these functions have exactly the same line of code here. So we could have another function here, just go public. Doesn't need to be public really. Maybe, I don't know, we'll keep it as public. Public void set set pos. Let's go with set pos for now. And we'll get rid of that and put it in there. Grab that, put it in there. And grab that, replace with that. So because we're calling exactly the same line of code with exactly the same values, we can just give it its own function name. Now, now what can we do to... Well, we can get rid of this one. Let's get rid of that. We'll save what we're doing here. We don't need that function. So let's go to brain hurt. It's in programming terms, it's called refactoring. So like, which I suppose is short for like remanufacturing. It's where you look at something and go, how can I simplify it? So you never want too much code in one chunk. Like if I had like lines and lines and lines and lines and lines and lines of code, and then I had another function that had loads and loads and lines and lines of code, but like 99% of the code was the same, I go, well, why am I typing it out twice? If I change it up here and I want the other one to do a pretty similar job, I have to change it down there. So you go, okay, what is the same? Take out the bit which is the same, put it in its own bit, and then just call it once. You only have to type it once, and we go, actually, I want to change how this works. I can change it just here, and both these functions will have the change now. And you basically get to a point where you make it almost English at some point, where you're not typing in all these commands, you're typing in a word that you made, like set pos. So when you're reading set pos, I could have called it set position, but you look at set position and go, well, I know what that means. That means set the position. Rather than going GameObject.transform.position, you go, oh, okay, it means position. But you have to get 3 words in before you know what that is. So you could get to a point where you write bits of code, put it in a function, give it a name that you know, and you're just writing with names you know at that point. Like set to bottom. If you type set to bottom, you know you're setting it to the bottom. Or move up. So you can just write a list of things you want it to do. I want it to move up, set to bottom, spin around, and you just type in those words, and then in the function is what it does all the clever bits. So ultimately, you want to get to a point where you're not typing this, you're typing understandable things like move up, because there's no such thing as move up. I made a move up, but I know on here when I go move up, like reticle.move up, I'm making the reticle move up. These words don't exist in Unity, but I made them. I made the words, and I know what that says. Count length. Length? That's not length, is it? I've misspelled length, so it definitely doesn't. That word doesn't exist. But yeah, it's basically just turning it into English words. And when you make it smaller and easier and simpler chunks, if there's a problem, you just fix the chunk and not the huge bit of code. Effectively, these are making the boxes that you'd use in scriptable coding, scriptable programming. Like the stuff that Sid will be doing with Unreal. I'm making the boxes that you draw the lines between, whereas the boxes may already exist in some capacity. So I just made a box, and then I'm just linking both of these to the same box. So there's a line from this to that box, a line from that to that box. But rather than boxes, it's names with brackets around them. But yeah, we need to delete set pos y, because set pos y isn't a thing anymore, and that's what happens here. So let's remove that, because that doesn't need to do anything. We'll save it. We'll go to level 2, because this is the only thing it refers to it on 2 levels. The level 2, go to canvas parameter. I see. Yeah, you just think of it in that sense. You're making the building blocks, and then you build something out of the building blocks. And if you look at coding in that, so when you start off with the simple stuff, you only have one building block. You don't really add to it. You don't have more blocks. You just a block, and the block behaves as the block should. But when you get more complicated, you're just making lots more of the little blocks, and then you go, well, I have a block that does this, and I have a block that does that, and I'll just put that block on top of that block, and I have a thing that does two things now. It's just when you look at it as a full house of blocks, you go, well, I couldn't build that house. I couldn't understand how the blocks fit together. But when you're building it from the blocks first, and you go, well, of course that block fits into that block, and that's why that does that. As I said before, it is just understanding the simple things, and once you know that, you're just adding simple things to make less simple things. But it does take time. And I realise, so it's not something that you go, oh yeah, it's easy, everyone picks it up. It's not. It's not just something people grasp without a little bit of work, but it's not impossible. It's certainly something everyone can achieve if you understand, like a list of instructions. Like what I like to think of, there's a video clip that's quite funny because it's about programming effectively and also about communication, effective communication. There's a video clip of a father and his little boy, and he's asked the little boy to write instructions on how to make a peanut butter sandwich. And this is kind of supposed to be like a lesson for the little boy on how to communicate. And the father kind of follows this boy's instruction to the letter, much to the boy's frustration, because a lot of his instructions that the boy wrote down were implied. Like, if I write this, he's going to know what I mean by what I've just wrote. And it's kind of a lesson to say, well, people don't necessarily know what you mean. You kind of have to break it down. And the same with computers. Computers don't know what you mean. You have to tell the computer what it knows, and then it will follow those instructions. And it was the thing that got the kid was the first instruction is pick up the knife. Simple instruction, pick up knife. Next instruction, it says put knife in jar of peanut butter. So from what the child would imply is that you still hold onto the knife, you put it into the peanut butter, and you put it into the jar. But at no point does the instruction says about anything about holding onto the knife. It just says pick up knife, put in jar. So that's what the father did. He picked up the knife, put it in the jar. The next instruction is to take the knife out of the jar, assuming that he held the knife, scooped some peanut butter, and then pulled out a knife with peanut butter on. But at no point did the kid write scoop peanut butter with the knife and then remove. He just says put it in jar, take it out of the jar. And this kid was kind of losing it, going, that's not what I meant. You go, well, but then this exercise was to say, well, understanding how to communicate, but it also applies to programming. You have to tell it everything. Some of it is implied because a command will have a certain thing it will do, and that's what it will always do, and that's what you call. But if it's not something the language already knows how to do, you have to make it yourself, and you have to tell it exactly what it is doing with this bit of information. So in that instance of the peanut butter sandwich, it would be pick up knife, while holding knife, insert into jar peanut butter, twist knife, if knife has peanut butter, remove knife, still within while holding as a bracket, and then move on to grab bread, spread and stuff. You go, well, if the knife does not have peanut butter, scoop again, kind of thing. So yeah, it's sort of that kind of thing. If you can understand that, then effectively that's programming. You just need to know what the words are that describe pick up knife, put in jar, peanut butter. Scriptable objects. Power sliders, put that in there. Oh, excuse me. Slider. So anything, I've got fizzy flavoured water. It's lovely stuff. Extremely gassy though. Very gassy. I'll put in those values, but I will make another one. Go to camera pivot, and we want to put the slider values in there as well. Cool, awesome, that works nicely. So what we will do, let's go create a power slider values, and we'll call this power slider values LVL2 level 2. Now the only thing is, if the player is allowed to set the movement rate, I need to make sure it applies across the board. So it might be something I end up having to split out again, but let's put that as 0.4 in that one. Let's go to reticle target, and we'll replace level 1 with level 2 and go to the slider. Replace, oh, can't see it, it's down here. Level 1 with level 2. So we know that's now in its own thing. We'll save that. And because we've saved that, and we know that this is not used anywhere now, I can safely delete that without worrying. But yeah, if you look at this code now, this looks extremely simple compared to what it was. But I'm thinking, can I make it any more simpler? Because what was that? Power up. Yeah, because that's powering up. So minus 1 is actually setting it to min. So -1 might not be the min. We'll do that. Power down. We don't really need to add a value into that, so what we'll just do is y equals min y. Save that, go to that, and rather than going y is equal to -1, we just go power down. Go power dot power down. So we got power dot power up, power dot power down. So that looks quite simple. You know what each line's doing. You're going power, power down, power, power up, with the clause of whatever that is, and then set position. So individually, these functions are very simple. You know it's powering up, it's powering down, and then setting position. The complicated stuff is behind the scenes when you go, okay, you've got some numbers being calculated here now. But that is just maths. You go, I'll work out the maths, give it a fancy name, and then I'll just call it by its name. Now I could do something fancy here, because there's a lot of words, and I could make that smaller. So I could do something like a vector free transform.position. and go just do that, and that makes it look a bit neater then. So we don't need game object or transport position. Can we remove the word game object? Yeah, don't need the word game object in there. Game object is implied at this point. It knows when you're talking about transform, there's only one thing you can talk about, which is where it's attached. So there you go, it looks even simpler now. So we're getting where the reticle currently is, then we're getting the X from the reticle, the Y from the power, and the Z from the reticle. So we're keeping these two the same, and we're just updating the Y. So unfortunately, the ideal thing would be transform.position.y is power Y, just changing the Y, but it doesn't let you change just the X, just the Y, or just the Z. You can't change just one of them, you have to change all of them at the same time. So what you end up doing is saying change the X to whatever it is now, change the Z to whatever it is now, but change the Y to this new value. But you have to change all three at the same time. So it's like, okay, we'll do it this way. We just say whatever it is, keep it the same. Whatever that is, keep it the same. But it does allow you to mean that if you want to change the X or the Z, you just add it into this bit of code now. So that feels a nice, neat bit of code in there. And that's just a little bit of maths, and that's just an update. And I don't think I need to set the slider to anything. We'll delete the start. We can always put the start back in if we ever want it. We'll give it a quick test. I'm late, but I still sell emotes and overlays. Hey Lisa, good to see you. Hope you've been well and having a good Friday. Have you been busy? It's always good to see you. Let's move the power slide into scripts. Keep those all together. All those awesome emotes. Oh, of course. Didn't like me moving that. Doing alright, how are you? I'm okay. I'm okay. Doing good. Let's make sure it's not broke or anything. Yeah, it's still there. Didn't like the hierarchy changing in here. But that's okay. No, it's been an interesting week. Been good, but interesting. Hey, my laptop's blue screen's lovely. Over the weekend I'm going to try and swap out the hard drive in my laptop. So, I mentioned before, I've got a Kingston SSD I'm going to put into my laptop. I've got one of these little SATA to USB connector, so I can just turn it into a USB hard drive temporarily and copy stuff over. But it really doesn't, it's not happy. It's not happy, but I got a dirt cheap budget SSD in there, and I think I probably outlived its life. Okay, so let's give this a quick test. We're still quite doing okay for time. As I said before, we can change these numbers mid-game now. So if I just do a little bit, I can see what this number is. So wherever Y is, so 3.4 is about, what's the minimum you really want? 2, I suppose. Do you want anything less than 2? So if I set the minimum rather than -1, if I then set that to 2 as the minimum, value can't be null. Is it doing this again? Yeah. Let's give me red text. So we've got 2 there. So, of course. Aha. So this is where I need it to update everything else. Because even though I'm saying the minimal is 2, I want the slider to be 2 as well. So I'll have to write some code that sets the min and max. But I know that works. Let's give this a save and come out of it. Go full screen for a second. Okay, I've got the red text and it's not happy. Let's close that. Tell you what, while that's reloading, I'll just be right back. I'm still going to be streaming for a few more minutes, but I'm going to be right back while I reload this. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back with you shortly. Right, we're back. Let's get some script open. It's keyboard controls. And then we'll welcome back. Thank you. Just getting Visual Studio open again, and then we'll reattach it to OBS. I was saying earlier, OBS doesn't. Every time I open up Visual Studio, apparently it's a completely different program than it's ever captured before. Maybe it's got too long a name. Maybe it doesn't like the fact it's got a long name. Cool, that's on there. So, what? Oh, what's my keyboard? There it is. I think what I would like to do then is actually set the min and max of the power slider. Where's power slider? PPP power slider. So rather than just setting that value, or maybe on start we can bring. Since I deleted the start up, let's. void start. Ooh, so I don't even have to attach it. I could do it there. Interesting. Just looking at my laptop while I'm doing this. Let's plug that back in. So on start, I want to actually set the slider minimum. So let's go M slider dot. What can we use here? Handle image is active. Invoking min. Ah, we go. Min value equals power dot min y, and oh, it's a clever thing. Look at that. So this is what AI is good for. Is predictive programming. Not writing it for you, but predictive. So you can go, here's a suggestion, and you go, yeah, good suggestion, or no, not what I was thinking. Cool. Now I've got to reinstall Windows on my laptop through the USB. It goes, I'm sorry, we do not support installing Windows through USB. I went, ugh, okay. I'll get a screwdriver on it and put the hard drive inside. And then we'll install it to the hard drive inside the machine. Okie dokie. Right, so we're setting the min and max when that loads up. So when the game starts, this slider will get a new minimum maximum. So at the moment it's 0 and 10, which is a nice kind of average values, but I'm not using 0 to 10, I'm using -1 to 12. So it ends up being not represented correctly, which I didn't really think about, but makes sense. So let's run this and we can watch these numbers change over here. There we go, 2 and 12. Let's turn that off. So we've got 2 and 12 down here now. So if I move this, that sets back to 2. And let's turn off the sound effects as well. So if I feel that 12 is not enough power, I can up up the power higher. But that, I feel, probably that gives me a better range. Because before, I had to have it just like 1 or 2 pixels off the top to hit the top. Now it's quite notably not at the top. It's close to the top, but it's not right at the top. But I can still hit the top of the building. Which it was definitely not as good before. And that means I can still hit the fountain if I do like a trick shot. Because the fountain is kind of like the boundary line of where this rock can go. Boom. I love the physics engine in Unity. So nice to work with. You don't have to worry, you just tell it use standard gravity and physics settings and it just does the rest. You can make it moon physics if you want to and just turn your gravity down proportionate to what the moon is and just have things float around a bit more. Okay, that I'm happy that's a good progress. So if I stop that, we can go back to level 1 and we'll make sure it's doing fine on level 1. Canvas and then slider. So it's defaults to 0 and 10. Let's just see this update. -1 and 12. It's because the trebuchet is so close. I could move the trebuchet slightly back and then make it 0 rather than -1. But I think at 0, it wasn't quite hitting the bottom. Well, I wanted to hit the ground before the building. That's the minimum. This feels kind of pointless using a trebuchet. You might as well just throw stones at it. But being a first level, I feel, is a good introductory. So we go to 12, it kind of skies it over. But then it gives the player the sense of having to control the power and not having to just give it everything every time. It's like, well, we only want it to go so far up, and that's the top of the building. So we're good with that. So we made some progress today. We've worked with that. So what I'll probably do then, I will put out a new demo with the changes and let you folks play with it. So the next game dev stream will be next Friday. So I'll have a whole week before working on it again on stream. I might do some tweaks off stream. But it'll be more croc on Wednesday rather than game dev. Because I'm 45% through croc. So I'm nearly halfway through already. So if I did the boss on Island 2, I reckon I'd be 50% through. So we left on the boss on Wednesday of Island 2. So doing the boss will probably put me about 50%. So I might be able to finish croc, at least like the main story, next Wednesday. And I might even do like a third stream if there's some completionist stuff. So it's not a long game, and I know some people complain that, oh, for basically 4 or 5 hours of gameplay, you're paying, was it £25? But you're buying an improved version of a game you loved and enjoyed, plus all the extra behind the scenes content and HD soundtrack that you can listen to. I feel it's alright. Sorry, still searching Tony Hawk. That's going to be your obsession now, isn't it? So what have I got to do on this? I've got to think of a algorithmic way of deciding the gold, silver and bronze medal thresholds. So at the moment I've manually set it at 2.5 minutes for gold, 5 minutes for silver and 10 minutes for bronze, which is very lenient. Very lenient. Certainly for the level 1. Level 2, level 2 is probably a bit more accurate for those numbers. But certainly if I make levels more complicated, I'll have to adjust it. That's going to take some research, I reckon, as to what I feel is each of those. And even though you can see the medal on the screen, would people understand that this silver disc is a medal and you've achieved it because of what the score you got? Because at the moment it's just a disc floating on the screen. Doesn't really tell you what it is, doesn't tell you why it's there. So I might need to think of a better presentation for it. Whether the medal gets revealed after the time, goes that's your time, and the medal just goes like drops after the time, goes like a coin, just kind of drops and go poof, and just the word silver award or something comes up. Which will just tell the player this is an award, it's silver. You go, oh, if it's silver, there must be a gold. Let's try and get the gold. Or even maybe as the time's ticking down, you could have the current award that you're on next to it. Like you can see the gold medal, which then turns to silver when you take too long, and which turns to bronze. Or it would be just better not to know where you are until you've actually completed the level. It would just be too much on the screen at one time. I don't know. I say I might have to just let a few people play and go, well, or I might just have to try and play some games which have the gold, silver and bronze medal systems. The only other thing I definitely need to put into this, mechanic wise, is a save feature, like progress, saving your progress. So I need to look into that, so that the times, like keeping the leaderboards, saving your times, what projectiles you've unlocked. So I need to save all that data. Yeah, so I need to look into that. That's a major thing I need to look into. The rest of it's kind of tweaking. I would like to make the intro animation. So working on the intro animation is going to be like a new skill set, which I can then apply to all future projects. But yeah, I can work on this, work on the save feature, and then as far as assets go, I need to normalize the audio files so they're all the same kind of gain. Add more audio files in, like different music files, different sound effects files, and do all that. So it's kind of like the nitty gritty bits now. And then once I have that in place, I can just freely make levels and just add fun extra bits like guards attacking you back or moving targets, because all that just becomes fun extras at that point. So yeah, I can work on those next week. But I'll wrap the stream up here because it's past 11 o'clock now. I don't want to stream for too long, so I can get some rest for tomorrow. But thank you all for being here. Hope you've enjoyed your Friday. Hope you have a good night and get some rest. Cool, have a good night. Thank you, Jeffrey. Hope you find your Tony Hawk mystery. And you say you're going off to tomorrow, do fun things. So I hope you have a good time with that Comic-Con thingy. Thank you for the stream. So enjoy your Comic-Con. Thanks, stream. Have a good night and weekend. Thank you, Shane. Yes. Have a good night. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah. Enjoy your weekends. Back on Monday, Stardew Valley or Minecraft. So, but we'll stick with Stardew Valley, unless otherwise stated. And yeah, we'll see you there. Have a good weekend. Have a good night. See you on Monday. Good night.